Hey guys, so welcome back to Growing and Crowing. Today, initially my thoughts were we were gonna prune some of our fruit trees, and I do a quick video on that. I just came out to check the sheep for the morning and move the cattle panel that is around our round bale. They were kind of to the bottom of that, so I was moving. Hey, I was moving that and getting that out of the way so that they could get to the very last bit of hay that's there, and then we can bring them in the new bale here with probably tonight. So anyways, when I came out, I discovered that I had lost a ewe. So I don't know. It's probably the hardest thing about farming or raising animals is, you know, they say if you have livestock, you're going to have dead stock, but it's always disappointing, especially when you're not sure what happened. My suspicion is she got down underneath the feed bunk to try to get grain last night, and it's a little too tight with how we have it set up, and I really think she got trampled. She was actually one of our ewes that this was the third year of her not getting bred, so she doesn't have babies, so at least that's good. She's not leaving behind lambs, but still disappointing, and I'm just discouraged, you know, but I don't think it's anything that we had done wrong or anything as far as any sickness. So, you know, there is that. So we got her moved out of the way, or I got her moved out of the way, and I'm home by myself today, so I had to give a quick call to Aaron to be like, I mean, I've run the tractor plenty of times, but you know, there's always a fear of having the bucket too high and rolling it or dropping her off on the road or something stupid. So anyways, we got her taken care of, and only one neighbor drove by when I was taking her down in the bucket. So it's a, you know, we live in a farm community. I guess they get it, and he waved and didn't think anything of it, I suppose. So there's that. But so anyways, we'll probably go back and still do the fruit trees today and kind of get those trimmed up. There's a couple branches that I took off with the Sawzall last night and got ahead of those big ones while I had that home, and then we'll just trim up some excess stuff that needs to be taken care of on those. So anyways, that is what's happening in the sheep pasture. Other than that, you know, we've lost a few lambs here and there, which is, it happens, and sometimes you just have no idea why. It's disappointing, but you learn from some of it, and some of it is simply I have no stinking idea what happened to them. So we just keep moving forward. Okay, so I kind of thought I'd show you, since we were out here, how we made a creep feed area in the hoop shed. You could see the gate that we kind of just rigged up with the cattle panels so that the sheep could come in, but the ewes hopefully could not so far. That's worked pretty well. And having it in the hoop shed keeps everything nice and dry. It took them a little bit to figure it out, you know, to come in here, but once the bigger ones did, then the little ones kind of followed suit. So we keep square bale hay in here, and Aaron made these feeders out of chemical totes, I think. Took the plastic parts out and reconfigured and welded it. A friend of ours had these, and actually he uses quite a few on his sheep farm, and so we made a couple of those, and they've come in handy. I love that they're lightweight enough that I can move them around when they're empty and not have to use a tractor or get help. So so there's that, and then this is just an old hog feeder, so we put the creep feed in there. I do have some buckets down here as well, because we had a couple smaller lambs that could get to the buckets, but not to this just yet. And so it does look like that's on my to-do list, is to refill that today. So we will get that done as well. But usually when I come out here, there's more than a few that's made their way in here, and it's a good area for them to come in and get away from mom for a little bit, and also out of the weather if the weather's crummy. So. So one thing too with this creep feeder, or the hog feeder that we're using for creep feed, we did put it up on blocks to get it up off the ground, so they're not down on their knees trying to get into it. It didn't take long before they're starting to come back in and looking for it. Let me see if I can get under this side, but you can see how it just, just comes out of there. And then I put 2 bags in. I could probably put 4 if I, wanted to or whatever. One other thing too that I'll make sure and link down below in the description is this little gray wagon. I picked it up on Amazon, I think like a Black Friday deal or something, but I use the heck out of this thing, not only for yard work and stuff, but I can throw a square bale of hay on there and bring out here by myself without having to use a tractor. I mean, probably could carry it out too, but a little less stress on the back and that kind of thing. But I just put the 2 bags of feed on there, and it works great. So I don't think it was that expensive, but anyhow, I will link that below so you guys can see one of my favorite little yard carts. All right, so we'll see how this goes. It's pretty darn windy out, so I'm gonna see if my tripod will stay standing up because it already blew over once. But I am out at our fruit trees and we're gonna do some trimming today. You can see that I already did some trimming last night with the Sawzall, some of the bigger branches and stuff. We had a couple that were broken in half or snapped off for whatever reason. So we are just going to pick those up first and then kind of go through each tree and trim some stuff out that needs it. Okay, so I'm not sure how the audio is going to be on this, but a couple of vertical that's kind of a sucker, or anything that's going across. There's a ton of videos out there on how to prune fruit trees, and they're probably way more professional than I am. Stark Brothers is who we order all of our trees from, and they probably have a wealth of knowledge on their channel that would be pretty beneficial to watch. And I usually touch base with them and watch them every year just to kind of see how they're doing things. But for now, we're just going to do a quick cleanup and get some of the stuff cleaned up because it is very spring-like today, and I'm wanting to do some outside stuff. So basically what I'm doing, and I kind of explained it there, but I'm not sure you could hear it very well over all the wind noise. All the videos that I've watched, and every year, like I said, I watch, different videos or different, read different blogs or whatever about how to trim a fruit tree properly. And I think my guess is I've never done this correctly from the beginning. So they're kind of a hot mess. They're definitely not perfect, but they're not terrible also. So this first one that I'm working on is, a peach tree. I actually had ordered it as an apricot tree, and it was not. So anyhow, we ended up with another peach tree, which is totally fine. But I'm just kind of going through and cleaning out any of the branches that grow straight up, which on a peach tree, that seems to be how they tend to do. So I didn't take a ton of those off because I just wasn't sure. And then, so as far as the apple trees, that's kind of, the ones that go straight up, the suckers or whatever, I got all those off, and then, or as many as I could. And basically my goal today was to open things up and get a little bit more airflow through the apple trees, because everything that I watch or read says that's key as far as keeping fungus or some sort of infection or sickness within the trees, keep that away. So I cleaned as much as I could up, to kind of open things up a little bit. Any branches that were crisscrossing through, any super low hanging branches, I did get rid of those, because last year one of the trees, a couple of the branches were actually touching the ground, and just kind of a pain in the butt to mow around. So I just kind of worked through, did my best to where I thought maybe it looked pretty good, and we'll go from there. We'll see how they do. The rest of the evening consisted of working on slicing up the bacon that Erin had made. It had been in the brine for 7 days. So if you're interested in learning how to make bacon, we just posted a video of kind of a step-by-step on this last week. So I will link that in the description as well. But we sliced it all up and ran it through the LEM bagger and got it all set and in the freezer, so that was good to go. Then just regular chores. I did make a little bit of an improvement, I think, on how we were feeding the ewes. So I brought the feed bunk in, and we have another one. I'll have to bring through that gate sometime when I got some help to hold everybody back. But I just used that and an empty water tank and a couple little, I don't even know what they are, little troughs that I poured the grain in. And by doing this, they weren't trampling each other. They weren't standing on top of stuff to try to get to the feed, and I couldn't dump it in. So this might be my new route of graining the sheep, and we'll see how that goes. So far it was a success. I opened up the other gate that's on the other side of my truck there, and once they were done, threw a little hay out and worked them right back through and into the pasture. So it worked really well. For afternoon chicken chores, I just had a bucket full of kitchen scraps that I brought out to the chickens, and they still have a little bit of that rib bones in there that we gave them after butchering the pigs. So they're still working on those a little bit, and then I'll remove those here in a day or so once they kind of get over that a little bit. And I had to fill water buckets, and then of course gather eggs. So we are still getting eggs this time of year, and I think mainly because we run a light over the winter in our coop, and of course now the days are getting longer, so you know, that helps with the whole laying situation as well. We have multiple different breeds of chickens, but our black Australarps every year tend to go broody, and there's one here that every time I go in there, she is in that nesting box, and I typically pull eggs from her every day, so you know, we're not worried about that. But I decided if she wants to try to hatch them out, let's let her. And so haven't told Erin that yet, but so day one of her, or maybe two of her, laying on some eggs, and we'll see if she hatches them out. My theory is if she hatches them, we don't have to take care of them, no brooder box, nothing, so life will be good. Thank you guys so much for joining us again today, and we would love for you to hit that subscribe button and come back and see what's happening on our little farm next week.